Hi, this is Algebra 1, Module 7, Structures of, or 7, Lesson 13, Perfecting My Quads. We are looking at multiple ways on solving a quadratic equation. So Carlos and Clarita, Tia and Tahani, and their best friend Zach are all discussing their favorite methods for solving quadratic equations of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Each student thinks about the related quadratic function, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, as part of his or her strategy. So Carlos says, I like to make a table of values and find the solutions by inspecting the table. Zach says, I like to graph the related quadratic function and use my graph to find the solutions. Clarita says, I like to write the equation in factored form and then use the factors to find the solutions. Tia says I like to treat it as a quadratic function that I put in vertex form by completing the square. I can then use the square root to undo the squared expression. Tahani says I also like to use the quadratic formula to find the solutions. So we are going to practice each of their solutions. And I'm not necessarily going to go in order, but I'm going to pick them with my preference first on there. So when given this formula, or this equation, I actually like to put it in vertex form because if I'm going to make a table or a graph, I actually am going to need a vertex and some numbers to be able to turn into a factored form. And so I'm going to start with Tia and use vertex form. So to put this into vertex form, I am going to do x squared minus 2x plus what? Well, if I divide by 2, I get -1. -1 squared is 1. And if I have 1 and I want to get down to 15, then my vertex form, I'm actually going to have to erase this because I don't have a lot of room in my box. I'm going to start doing a lot of this work down below. I'm going to scroll down here. I'll write that again just so I have it. So x squared minus 2x plus divided by 2 equals -1. Squared is 1. And I got to get to -15. So y equals x, let's see, minus 1 squared minus 16. Because I'm going from 1 to -15, that's a -16. So to figure out what my factors are, I actually just want to put a 0 in here. And actually, I don't have a ton of room, so let's just keep this simple. We're going to put a 0 for this. So plus 16 plus 16. So 16 equals x minus 1 squared. Well, square root of 16 is 4 plus or minus 4 equals x plus 1, or minus 1. Minus 1. So if I add 1 plus 1, I get 4 plus 1 is 5, or -4 plus 1 is -3. So I know my factors, and I'm going to go over to Clarita because she puts it in factored form. And factored form would be x minus 5 times x minus 3 equals 0. Well, when each of those equals 0, x has to equal 5 and x plus 3 and -3, right? -3 plus 3 is 0. 5 minus 5 is 0. All right. So knowing those two, Carlos, here's my vertex, 1 comma -16. So when I make my table, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, I'm going to put 1, -16 in here. So if I put in a 2, 3, -2, -3, actually I'll get all the way to 5, don't I, for my x-intercepts. Let's make this table a little don't give us a whole lot of room to do this work, do they? So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make 2 lines. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So let's put our, what did I say? I have to get to 5. So if I do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3. Perfect. So 1 comma -16. If I put a 2 in here, 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Minus 16 is -15. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 16 is -12. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 16 is -7. And 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 16 minus 0 is, 16 minus 16 is 0. Okay, so when I do my graph, I know they're mostly going to be in the negatives. Do I have any positives? I don't have any positives in here. So normally you do this on graph paper, but we don't really have that luxury on this computer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a positive 5. 1. Oh, we got to get all the way down to 16. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to go by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, -10. So I need to do 1, -16. 0 is -15. Let's just go -1, 12. That's this guy here. 3, 12. 3 is -12. And then we had 5 as 0. And -3 is 0. So our graph looks something like this. Okay. And now we have Tahani's, which is the quadratic formula. So we're going to take, we're actually going to simplify it a little bit because they were both over 2a. We can just take a negative b. So instead of -2, I'm going to do +2 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 2 squared is 4, plus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is -15. Oh, sorry, minus 4. It's a minus 4, but it's going to end up being an add because minus a negative, and that's over 2a, which is 2 times 1 is 2. So equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus plus 60, which equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 64. Well, we know square root of 64 is 8 over 2. All this is over 2. So 2 plus 8 over 2 and 2 minus 8 over 2. Well, that's 10. It's a -6. 10 divided by 2 is 5. -6 divided by 2 is -3. We end up with our 5, -3 in all cases. Because here's the 5, the -3, 5 and -3. So we got it. Next one. Now we have a 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do my way I've been doing it because that works best for me. So I'm going to go ahead and that little dot I just put on there, we'll do green on this one, do different colors. Don't have a ton of room still, but we'll do what we can. So if I go ahead and do vertex form, I have to pull, let's see, 2 parentheses, 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Sorry, x, goodness. X plus 1.5, x plus, whoop. So half of 1.5 is 0.75, and 0.75 squared is, maybe we do that one as a fraction, because that's 3/4. 3/4 squared would be 9/16. I have to go from 9/16 to 1. Oh, so I need to, let's see. I do, right? 3, 1.5. Half of that is 0.75. Yep. And so 3/4 squared is 9/16. So if I'm going from 1 down to 9/16, that would give me, oh, wait a minute. Oh, times 2. I forgot to times 2. I'm like, why does this not seem to be working out? Times 2 is 18/16, which is actually 1/8. All right. So 0 equals 2 times x minus 0.75 squared minus, 1/8. I know I shouldn't be, probably be mixing decimals and fractions. We'll go ahead and reverse here. Okay, so when I do this, I got to add 1/8 to both sides. And if I'm going to do this in a condensed form since I really don't have much space. Okay, so then I got the 1/8 over there. I have to divide by the 2. So 1/8 divided by 2, or times 1/2, is 1/16. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 1/16 equals x minus 3/4 squared. Well, the square root of 1/16 is actually 1/4, right? Square root of 1 is 1, square root of 16 is 4. So I have 1/4, plus or minus it, and then x plus 3/4, or minus. Is it a minus or a plus? It's a plus. Okay. All right. I do not need parentheses. I need equal signs. So then I'm going to subtract 3/4 from both sides. And so if I have negative 3/4 plus 1/4, then I equal negative 1/2. So x equals negative 1/2. And if I do negative 3/4 minus 1/4, then I'm actually doing negative 1. So I'm going to get a different color in here so we can see our answer. It's a lot of work going on here. Okay, so our factored form then is going to be those two, x plus 1/2. Normally we don't do factors with fractions, but in this case, it's going to be, because we have our number here, x plus 1 equals 0. And when we do that, x equals negative 1/2 and negative 1. Okay, so knowing those two, I can now do my table. I don't have to go very far. Let's just go 3 to 3. So -3, -2, -1, 0, 1. I am still going to have to do 2 rows, aren't I? There's just not much space in these little guys. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if I want to go 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, 2, -3. All right. So my vertex, oh, we can't really do our vertex because it's not even, on there, but we know that 1 is 0, right? No, negative 1 is 0. Negative 1 is 0. And if I start plugging in some numbers here, we'll just go ahead and plug in some of these over here. So 3 squared is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus 3 times 3 is 27. So that means this is 28. 2. 2 times 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14 plus 1 is 15. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 1 is 6. If I put in a 0, I get a 1. That's my y-intercept. Negative 2, still 2 times 4, right? Negative 2 squared. So 4 plus, oh, it's a negative 6 this time. So that's negative 2 plus 1 is, wait, I might have to write this one out. 4, 8. That's 8. Minus 6 is 2 plus 1 is 3. And then if I do a negative 3, that's 18 minus 9, which is 9 plus 1, which is 10. Okay. Yeah, so Carlos's way is not super helpful on this one because we end up with nothing that's really really what we want. We don't have a vertex in there. We do have one of our answers show up. So when I go to draw this on my graph, negative 3 to 3, and then it's mostly positives here, so it's all positives. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to wait to 28. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. That's as far as we're going to get. So negative 3 is at 10. Negative 2 is at 3, 2, 3. Negative 1 is at 0. 0 is at 1. 1 is at 6. 2 is at 15. So we know that it dips down here and goes up here, basically at this negative half is our other one. So it's kind of in there is where the next one falls. All right, Tahani. So negative b, negative 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 9 minus 4 times a times c. All right, so we have negative 3 divided by 2 plus or minus 9 minus 8, which is 1 over 2. So negative 3 plus 1, so yeah, 9 minus 8 is 1, square root of 1 is 1, so that one works out there. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. But if we do negative 3 minus 1, we get, 2a. Whoops. Let me make sure I see this one right. 2 times a, which is 2. So it's actually divided by 4. All right, there we go. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2/4, which is negative 1/2. And negative 3 minus 1 divided by 4 is negative 4, which is negative 1. All right. So many little pieces. I try to go too fast sometimes. All right, next one. We have x squared plus 4x minus 8. So for this one, let's see if we have what we've got over here. So I'm going to put it in vertex form. X squared plus 4x plus, we don't know, divide by 2 equals 2. 2 squared is 4. So I have to go 4 all the way down to -8. So 0 equals x plus 2 squared minus 12. 4 to -8 is 12. So again, I'm going to kind of scoop it around here, add 12 to both sides. So now I get x plus 2 squared equals 12. Square root of 12 is not a nice number, so we're just going to leave it as that. Plus or minus the square root of 12 equals x plus 2. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So because we have a radical in there, we're just going to leave it like here. -2 plus or minus square root of 12. Oh, eraser. Let's go back to our pink. Wrong buttons. Square root of 12. Okay, now because this is not an even number, we really can't do this. There's no integers, or even nice numbers that work. Okay, and so Carlos, if we make a table, well, let's see what numbers we get here if we're going to do it. So -2. Let's do -2 plus the square root of 12 is 1.4. So we've got to do at least get up to 2 in our box. So I have to go scroll up just a little here. I know I got to get a highest of 2. What's -2 minus the square root of 12? -5.46. So I need to go from -6 to 2. So -6, -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, so I got to go quite a ways on these. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do this with my vertex form since I've got whole numbers there. And we'll start with, I guess I kind of just have to do them all, don't I? Do we have one that's kind of in the middle? I don't know. We'll see. Oh, vertex. Our vertex is -2, 12. -2, 12. We do have a vertex. That's right. We didn't do our vertex last time because they were fractions. All right. So I can plug in -1. -1 plus 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1 minus 12 is -11. And 0 plus 2 is 2. 4 minus 12 is -8. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 12 is -3. And 4 squared is 16. 16 minus 12 is 4. Okay, so see how it jumps in there somewhere. So it's mostly underneath. Let's see. I guess we've got it kind of more in the negatives than the positives too, huh? So if we go by 2's, do we need to go by 2's again? Probably. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Actually, I probably should go one more to get to 12 down here, right? Okay. So I'm going to put -6 is 4 up here, and so was 2 was 4. 5 was -3, so it's somewhere kind of like right where that dot is. 1 was -3. -4 was -8. 0 was -8. And 1 Where am I at? Negative 11. Negative 3 is negative 11. 12. 11. There we go. Prefer a little more accurate graphs, but do what we can, right? Okay. And Tahani's. Negative b. Negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared, which is 16, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times negative 8, which is c, divided by 2 times a, which is 2. Okay, messed that a last time. Okay, so negative 4 plus or minus negative 4, negative 8. 4 times 8 is 32, but it's a plus, so 36 plus 32 is the square root of 48 divided by 2. And so because I can't really do much with that, I can simplify the square root of 48 though. So the 48, 4 goes into it. How many times? 4 to 16. 16 goes into it 3 times. So remember how we did these. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. So the square root of 48 equals square root of 16 times the square root of 3. Well, that simplifies to a 4 square root of 3. So if I do that, negative 4 plus or minus 4 square root of 3 divided by 2, notice these two can both divide out 2. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 plus or minus negative 4 divided by 2 is 2 square root of 3 right here. We could do that with the 12 as well. We could say 12 is 4 times 3. Square root of 4 is 2. So I'm actually write that over here. Negative 2, which is what we got here, plus or minus square root of 2, or 2 times the square root of 3. 2 square root of 3. So this is actually the more simplified version. And I'm going to erase this other one since we want to have it more simplified. All right. And is that it? That's it. All right. Well, I was thinking we had one more, but we don't. So, excellent job there. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.